Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me again. This is Dr. Stephen Walker, broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is my twice a week mental health live stream, which means I am broadcasting live in hopes that we can normalize conversations about mental health, mental illness, whatever's on your mind. This is me taking time out of my day. If you don't know me, if you're just catching this live for the first time, or if you're catching this after I post it, I'm a licensed psychologist, been on the field for over 25 years now. And I am trying to normalize conversations about mental health, mental illness, trying to see what's on people's minds. You know, there's a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety going on there. I'm not a academician, you know. I am a practicing licensed psychologist. I have an active private practice, and I see people 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day sometimes. But I'm trying to help people just talk about whatever's on their mind, talk about what they're struggling with, talk about anything that they want to talk about. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about the fear of disappointment. You know, I see this a lot with people I work with. People are afraid to be disappointed, but I'm going to get into that in a second. Let's talk a little bit about our sponsor, okay? BetterHelp.com. Okay, BetterHelp.com approached us. They happened to catch one of my live streams and they said, hey, we like what you're doing. We'd like to give you a sponsorship and a special rate. If anyone's looking for treatment, BetterHelp.com, you go to this website, BetterHelp.com/Dr. Walker. You're not going to work with me, but you're going to be able to pick many tens of thousands of licensed counselors that you can work with, and you can get a special discounted rate by going directly to this web link, okay? BetterHelp.com/Dr. Walker. Hey, Sigrid, how are you? Good to see you back. Basically, the idea is that you should not internalize what you're holding on to. You should not allow thoughts and emotions within you to permeate without being regulated and checked on and dealt with, much like you wouldn't allow any other infection or anything else that's affecting you go unchecked, go untreated. But again, we have this mental health stigma, and people believe that there's something wrong with having negative thoughts and emotions. And like my intro says, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having negative thoughts and emotions, okay? So I'm going to remind everybody about my Help a Human Fund. This is a fund I've set up. You can donate straight into it. It's hosted by one of the crowd fundraising sites, and it's for people who can't afford treatment. And if you want to donate into, you can help people who can't afford their copays, can't afford their premiums, can't afford anything. And I get a lot of calls and requests for treatment. And once I unfortunately can't provide treatment based on their health insurance, it's very difficult to have to tell people that we can't help them. And I don't like doing that. The reality is, guess what? Good old America. This is a capitalist country, and I wish I could work for free, but unfortunately I can't. I do a lot, but I can't do it to the extent that I'd like to. So helpahuman.org is a fund you can donate into if you would like to help somebody who can't afford treatment. So let's talk about how to handle the fear of disappointment. So, and again, I want to remind you guys, if somebody wants to call in live, here's the number, okay? This goes directly to my office line, which is then forwarded directly to my cell phone. So you can ask me a question. You can talk about what's on your mind. If you just need to vent, if you want to process something, the number's in the, where is it? This is reversed. There it is right there. So you could call me and we can talk about it. Again, you don't have to use your name, but again, remember, and maybe I can say again a little bit more, but the whole reason I'm doing a live stream and not just a prepackaged edited video is because I want to engage with people about what's on their mind. Because that is what we're sorely lacking in our culture. We're lacking a culture of people who feel comfortable talking about what's going on with them. So feel free to use that number and call live while I'm on the air if there's something you wanted to talk about David, how are you on YouTube? What's up? Excellent topic, doctor. A question: is there a difference between the fear of disappointment and the fear of failure? Dude, give me a moment. No, I'm joking. But yeah, no, absolutely. That's one of the things I was going to talk about, because what's embedded in the fear of disappointment is the fear of failure. So let's talk a little bit about that. You're absolutely right, David. Um, I would say it's not really a difference. It's like saying, is the skin of an orange different than, the inside of the orange? It's all kind of connected. So what I've found with people, and I've heard this over and over from people, I don't want to get my hopes up, man. I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to get disappointed. And that, my brothers and sisters, is what's affecting your ability to maximize and ultimately achieve what potential you're working on, or you want to achieve. Because what happens is the fear of disappointment tells you, no, 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 I can't handle that. I can't. And again, this is just what's in our head. I can't deal with being disappointed. No, it happened again. I can't handle that. That's going to spin me out. I'm going to just lose hope. I'm not going to be able to deal with it. That is what is keeping people from reaching their goals, is telling themselves that if they get disappointed, they can't deal with that. Now let's talk about where that gets embedded in us. Okay. The fear of disappointment, again, if you follow these live streams, I am a great believer I'm a great knower that most of our issues happened to us when we were children. Most of the issues, most of the self-identity we have, most of the belief system we keep, most of the issues we have is related to what happened to us as children. So disappointment is one of the things that I see over and over and over with people, is that they have these things in their past. Hey, Penny, how are you? They have these things in their past that have caused them to be disappointed. So they project that out into the future. So it's affecting them in the past. They haven't dealt with it because, again, remember, we don't want to admit that the past is still affecting us. The last thing we want is for people to think, oh my God, you're affected by something that happened 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. What's the matter? And guess what, people? Every single person on this planet is still being affected by things that happened in their past. Why? Because most people did not deal with it. Most people did not have consistent childhoods. They didn't have childhoods that were marked by a level of consistency that caused them to be able to deal with disappointment. So what happens is disappointment becomes what I call a traumatic trigger. And what is a traumatic trigger? Something from our past, something in the present that triggers trauma from the past. Okay. Disappointment is one of the ones I've seen over, and we've all heard this what I'm about to say. Expect the best, but prepare for the worst. One of the worst self-statements you can tell yourself. Why is that? Okay. Prepare for the best, but expect the worst. Okay. What that means to people who have had a large amount of failure or negativity in their past is their expectation of the worst is going to override their preparation for success. Meaning that if you prepare for the best but expect the worst, but you're used to expecting the worst, you really think you're going to prepare for the best? You really think you're going to prepare for the best? No, it's not going to happen. What's going to override that is that fear of failure. Like David said, that fear of failure is going to override your ability to prepare for the best. Why? Because of all the disappointment, all the negativity you've had. Sigrid is saying the fear holds you back from experiences we learn from. Life still will go on even if it was a negative experience. Absolutely, Sigrid, absolutely. Not only will life go on, but the learning will go on depending on how you're relating to the present stimulus. So let's take an example of There was a period of time in my life where I was single and I wanted to meet people. I wanted to meet someone in my life. So let's say I was out and I wanted to approach a woman, or I wanted to get to know somebody. The fear and in whatever fears and insecurities I had would have prevented me that, because my belief system at the time was, oh my God, I can't handle rejection. Or an athlete who is used to, you hear them in a slump. So they get into a slump mentality. So they're expecting failure. What happens when people are afraid of disappointment is that the disappointment, they're not questioning, well, wait a minute, why am I so afraid of to being disappointed? What does disappointment mean to me? Now, remember, we've talked about in a previous live stream about the ABCs of thinking. Activate, it's cognitive behavioral psychology. Activating event, belief, consequence. Okay, ABCs of thinking, by one of my teachers, Albert Ellis, and he was one of the people who brought about the idea of disputing the validity of your irrational thinking. So what I do is I combine that with not only psychodynamic therapy, which is going back into the past and figuring out how we got conditioned a certain way, but you bring it into the present and you're able to dispute the belief system you have about things in your life. So let's say your belief system, your activating event is disappointment. So you get disappointed. What do you believe about the disappointment? You got to look at those beliefs, because those beliefs in the model of ABC, activating event, belief, consequence, when you get whatever you believe about disappointment will have a consequence in the form of feelings. So if you believe that disappointment is undealable, nothing good will come out of disappointment, then the consequence of believing that is fear. The consequence of believing that is staying stuck. That is what we do as mental health people, is we help people get into their belief systems through back and forth, talking things out in a way that helps them dispute the validity of what they're thinking about. Okay? The fear of disappointment, people, if you are not working on that fear of disappointment, you're going to set up disappointment in your mind as something, like I said before, that you cannot deal with. Okay. And once disappointment sets up in your mind as an undealable thing, then you never want to come close to it, because you've already set up this schema, this thought system in your mind that tells you, no, I can't handle being disappointed. No, no, no. I remember when I got my hopes up before, and no, 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 no one's gonna pull the wool out on me. And you see that in relationships. And Sigrid has been on before. She's talked about some of the challenges she's been through in her previous relationship. This is one of the main things that holds people back from getting back into the dating scene or getting back into any kind of romantic or emotional relationship. Disappointment. I don't want to be let down again. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to feel that emotion again. I don't. So what do people do? They stay locked up in that fear without allowing themselves a period of time to process what hurt them. This is why this type of work, working with a licensed mental health provider, is so important, because it helps people face the fear in a therapeutic way. What we do, quite simply, is we help people feel things so that we can help them heal those things. Now, when I say about disappointment and feeling it, you've got to allow yourself to feel it. People don't allow themselves to feel their fearful and negative thoughts and emotions. And if you looked at my intro, you'll see that one of the first taglines is, there's nothing wrong with having negative thoughts and emotions. So disappointment would obviously fall into the negative thoughts and emotions, the negative thoughts and emotions. So if you don't allow yourself to feel that negative thought and emotion, people, then how the hell are you going to work on healing it? How are you going to get out of denial and say, no, I don't want to feel that? That's the denial. And I know, trust me, I see the people on YouTube that are putting out this information about just let it go. Let go of your fear of disappointment. Come on, people, just let it go. Don't allow it to control you. You're not your disappointment. You're not that negative feeling. Biggest load of BS that you can ever tell a person is to just ignore their negative thoughts and emotions. Why do people online do that? Let's think about it. Go back to some of my previous live streams. Why do they do that? Because they don't know how to deal with negative thoughts and emotions. They don't know how to deal with their own negative thoughts and emotions. So they're certainly not going to know how to help you deal with yours. They're just going to push you into the let it go. But people, if you want to handle, manage, integrate, heal your fear of disappointment, you got to start feeling it. You got to start allowing yourself to feel it, and then allow yourself to be in a situation, a therapeutic environment where you can talk about it and work on it so that you can get the feedback from somebody who knows how to help you handle that. Okay. Handling your fear of disappointment will help you in multiple ways in your life, because one of the main ways that we help people get over phobias or deal with many of the fears is called exposure therapy. So, hey buddy, so what exposure therapy is you slowly therapeutically expose somebody to the object of their fear. Now, you don't just flood them, you don't just throw them into the pool, which can have very devastating consequences. You slowly allow the person to feel what they're afraid of in a therapeutic environment so they can build up resistance and tolerance to it. Okay. David is saying it's a fool's choice to ignore an emotion with understanding its source. Absolutely, my brother. Absolutely. Not only is it a fool's choice, my brother, but it's exactly what we have going on in our culture today with the amount of medication that people are taking. Okay. The amount of medication that people are taking for anxiety, depression, pain is exactly geared towards not allowing people to feel what they're feeling. Why? Because they're not we're not encouraged to talk about how we think and feel. Hey Sam, how are you? Good to see you. So what we do is we just continue to take medication, and that's not only pills. That can be drugs, that can be shopping, that can be gambling, that can be television, that can be YouTube, that can be whatever. Our culture is geared towards distracting people from how they think and feel. Why? Because we are conditioned to believe that we cannot handle these negative thoughts and emotions, that we cannot deal with it, that these negative thoughts and emotions are stronger than us, which is, again, part of that childhood cycle of conditioning where we're not allowed to express how we're thinking and feeling. So getting back to the topic of how to handle the fear of disappointment. So I mentioned Albert Ellis before. Look him up if you've never heard of him. Great. He's a pioneer in the field. And like I said, I had the luck of training with him for a while and sitting across from him and, what do you, and, we got into a little heated debate about some things, but that's what it's about. But anyway, Albert Ellis talked about something called shame attacking exercises. Okay. What are, hey, no problem, Bracy. Good to see you. Glad you could make it. Shame attacking exercises are, he would encourage his patients, his clients, whatever you want to call them. And this is in New York City, to go and be in a situation where they could talk about how they're thinking and feeling, what in an environment. Hold on a second. Somebody's calling. Let me just check this. Hi, this is Dr. Workermill. Oh, wrong number. So live stream. So what he would do is he would encourage his patients to go into elevators in New York City and start singing. Okay. So he would encourage people that he was working with to go into elevators and start singing. Now, remember, okay, if you want to engage with me one-on-one and talk about whatever's on your mind, you need to vent, you want some advice on how to proceed in a certain treatment protocol or whatever, or you just want to talk to somebody for a little while, here's the number, okay? It goes straight to my cell phone. You can engage with me and we can talk about mental health. Oh, no, not mental health, not mental illness. No, I can't talk about that. Feel free to use that number, okay? So what he would do would be when these people would start singing, and I don't mean like, loud singing, just singing in a quiet elevator. Immediately, the looks, especially in New York City. That's the shame that they need to be exposed to in order to learn how to deal with it. That's exactly why people need to expose themselves to disappointment. You need to put yourself into situations that you can deal and feel what disappointment is like. You can't keep avoiding it. Okay? Like David said, it's a fool's choice to ignore an emotion with understanding it's I think he means without understanding its source. Absolutely. It's like having a cut on your arm and saying, oh, no, I don't have a cut there. What are you talking about? I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to let go of the cut. I'm just going to pretend it's not there. I'm going to live my best arm life. Give me a break, okay? The reality of this situation is you need to put yourself in situations where you could be disappointed. Now, I'm not saying just go do it tonight. I'm saying spend some time working through what your belief system is about disappointment. Seb, you okay? Sorry, watching my 5-year-old out in my living room. Live TV or live stream. So what we need to do is you need to allow yourself a period of time where you're building up self-talk, you're building up optimism, you're building up the ability to talk yourself through the disappointment. Prior to doing that, you've already done the work, the foundational work to why am I so afraid of being disappointed? Well, what the hell's going on there? Oh, yeah, I remember. God, my father let me down a lot, or my mother let me down a lot, or my grandparent, or my ex-wife, or my ex-husband, or whatever it may be. You've got to spend some time going through where you learn to be afraid of disappointment, where you learn that you cannot handle disappointment, where you learn that disappointment is a catastrophe. Okay? This is why people say all the time, no, dude, no. I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm not getting hey, whoa. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being realistic. Okay, go ask mama. Go ask mama. I know, but I can't do it right now.
Well, you can just say, hold on a sec.
I can't. Go upstairs and ask your mom. I'm sorry, Bubba. He's asking me to wipe his bum. Okay. And the weird thing is he's 28. No, I'm kidding. He's 5. But anyway, so we need to work on the fear of disappointment. We need to work on and expose ourselves to the fear of disappointment. Okay. We've got to allow ourselves to feel what it feels like to be disappointed, or we're never going to transcend that fear. Okay. People who say, if you're one of them, I challenge you to ask yourself, when I say I'm not being pessimistic, I'm being realistic, what is that rooted in? Why do you believe that pessimism is the only form of realism? Why don't you ever hear people saying, hey, I'm not being optimistic, I'm being realistic. I'm not being optimistic, I'm being realistic. Why don't we ever hear people say that? You know why we don't hear people say that? Because for some reason, being optimistic is a lie. It's not true. You have to prepare yourself for being disappointed. You have to prepare for the worst. Expect the best, but prepare for the worst. Listen, people. If you believe, now there are some people who haven't had a lot of chaos in their life and they haven't had a lot of disappointment, so they can prepare for the best and expect the worst, or however the hell it is saying, whatever it is now, expect the best but prepare for the worst. They can maybe manage that. Most people can't do that. Most people who prepare for the worst get sucked into that whirlpool. Oh God, what if I try that business and it doesn't succeed? Okay, let me prepare for the worst. So and then they're stuck in that constant state of negativity. They're stuck in that constant fear. They're stuck in that belief that they can't handle the disappointment. And that is what will prevent people from maximizing and achieving more of their potential. Disappointment is only to be feared if you learned it was to be feared. Okay? I don't want to bring up Thomas Edison here because, while he was a great inventor, he screwed over Tesla. I don't know if you know that story, but that's a whole nother issue. But, that famous Thomas Edison quote of, hey, after he perfected the light bulb and was able to get the filament from exploding and they finally figured it out, and the reporter or whatever who was interviewing him said, well, Dr. Edison, you failed 50 times or whatever it may be. Didn't you ever want to give up and you just think you were never going to get it? I mean, it was keying on weren't you just disappointed and wanting to give up? And Edison looked at him like, give up? Failed? I learned 50 ways it didn't work. And that was how he looked at failure. That like David was talking about. That is how he looked at fear of failure, how he looked at disappointed. Sure, he was disappointed. Sure. When Edison failed, it wasn't, hey, let's order new things from Amazon or let's go to Home Depot. No. Scratch. Literally scratch, from scratch, to start over, making all of his components. Okay. So the key, Bracey's saying, that's what's happening to me with my business I've been trying to start for years. Well, Bracey, what's happening? Talk about that. What's happening? You've been trying to start it, but you haven't started it. Why haven't you started it? Give us a call. Talk about this live if you want some quick engagement with me. Here's the number. If anybody wants to chat about their fear of disappointment or how to manage it or process some things that are holding them back. But Bracey, if you have a business that you've been trying to start for years, and I guess that operative word is trying, then, okay, too much rejection. There you go. So Bracey, what I hear you saying then is you got rejected a lot as a kid. So that rejection now, if you're trying to start the business and you're not getting sales or you can't get the loan or whatever, that rejection goes off in you like an atomic bomb as opposed to a firecracker. Remember, because the fear of disappointment, this is, if you notice, if you go on my YouTube page, I don't know how many people are watching on YouTube, but here's a link to the YouTube page. Here it is here. You just type in licensedpsychologist.com and that'll take you straight to the YouTube page. But if you go on there, please subscribe, by the way, because the more people that subscribe, the more people watch the videos, the more people are talking about mental health. There's a ton of content on there. But if you look at the general theme about what I'm trying to put out is that the majority of what we still struggle with is from these early childhood traumas that that a lot of people aren't dealing with. We have to deal with what Bracey learned about rejection. How is rejection affecting her? And by the way, people, do me a favor, please. If you're watching this live, please share this on your timeline. Please share this somewhere where people can be pulled in. Be proud of the fact that you're working on your mental health, like you'd be proud of the fact that you'd be working on your dental health or your cardiac health or any physical health, or you're working out, whatever you're proud of. You should absolutely be proud that you're watching a live stream to try to improve yourself with a licensed, scientifically trained, full-time private practicing psychologist who comes off of 8, 9, 10-hour days of back-to-back sessions. Thankfully, I have clients, very grateful. And I'm imparting to you ways that you can have better emotional health. Please ask a question or make a comment. Okay. That's why I'm doing this live. That's why it's unpolished. That's why my 5-year-old interrupts the session. Okay. Sam is saying 9. I don't know if you're responding to someone else. So, and Bracey's saying, I don't feel smart enough, even though I put myself through college and worked in law enforcement. I put 30 names on a piece of paper, called 10, 10 said no. So again, Bracey, then I don't know, when you say you put 30 names on a piece of paper and called 10 and 10 said no, I don't know what you were calling them about. Okay. I don't know what the content of this idea or this business is, but if 10 are saying no, then you got to drop back and ask yourself, how am I, what's my presentation? What am I doing that I can improve the way I'm delivering what I want? But let me ask you something. Oh, 9 people were watching at the time. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Sam. So yes, if you are watching this live, please share this so we can pull some more people in. But Bracey, when you say you don't feel smart enough, where is that coming out of? Like, how smart do you have to be to start the business you want to do? Why does Bracey put herself down like that? Why does she tell herself, I'm not smart enough? These are things that that I would encourage you to work through in either in a therapeutic way by talking to somebody, or by going into yourself and asking yourself, why do I feel not smart enough? What is going on with me that I don't feel smart enough? Okay. The fear of disappointment, people, this is a conditioned fear in most of us. You were not born. I always say that, you know, how people say, you know, nobody is born a racist, a hater. True. Very true. There are no born racists. I know, you know, people on the hard right or hard left believe that, you know, that, trust me, there's no way you're born hating another human being. Now we see differences, of course, but hate is nothing. But we're also not born self-haters. Okay. So Bracey's saying my brain is warped. I'm always in a super fog. Can't hold intelligent conversations anymore. Maybe ADD, not sure. Well, that sounds like a biological thing. Yeah, I would definitely talk to my GP or my gyno or whoever you go to for medical advice about what's going on. I don't know if you're on any medication. A lot of what brain fog are side effects from medication that are still affecting us, that we're not fully aware of, which we then interpret as some sort of systemic kind of biological thing that we don't know, because a lot of it could be medication side effects. Excuse me. So what I would encourage anybody out there watching this, no meds. Okay. Did you have a stroke or did you have some kind of physical issue? You're saying ADD. It could be, if it's ADD, if it's just not ADHD, if it's ADD and it's just attention, then all natural supplements and vitamins. Okay. Then we got to figure out what's going on with you, why you feel your brain is warped. What a super fog is. I don't know if this is something you've struggled with for a long time, Bracey, or if it's something that has come on as you've gotten older. But I would encourage you to figure out what is going on with this brain fog. What is going on with me not feeling clear? Because if it's ADD, there are medications you can take for that. But the brain fog part is a little bit more, would point me in a different direction. I don't like to diagnose anything unless I can talk to you. No, it's like I'm always far off in my own world, not present, maybe. I don't know if there's some underlying trauma there. So when you say I'm always far off in my own world, that leads me to believe that there's something going on in the world around you that maybe you learned to get into your own world to avoid, but then not being present, it's really bad. I lose things daily. How old are you, Bracey? I don't know if it's do you have in your family any kind of Alzheimer's, or do you have any issues with memory? Did you have a traumatic brain injury? But I can imagine where this would be challenging. You said you were in law enforcement. I don't know if you had any trauma associated with there, but I would definitely encourage you. Kids fighting, yelling, trashing house, 41. Okay. Well, that'll do it. You know, that's why, None of that. Okay, well, that's why my wife and I are from the one and done club, personally. But so if you're only 41, I would definitely, try to access. I don't know if you have health insurance, but I would definitely try to get some tests done and see if there may be something going on there that can be either treated medically, or maybe there's some sort of something that is preventing you from being present. Now, if you've got that situation going on where, kids are always fighting and yelling, that's a lot of external stress. It's going to affect your ability to concentrate. So yeah, let me know how you would investigative work. You can shoot me some emails. We can go back and forth. I can maybe send you a list of we can do some symptom checks and all that. But Bracy, it seems like on a psychological level that you're very hard on yourself. I don't know if you're a perfectionist, or if you expect to be perfect, or if there's something going on in you that tells you you're not good enough. Told to endos, God, they don't get it. Say I'm depressed. I'm not depressed. Okay, well, it's interesting. Thyroid could be Hashimoto's. Yeah, that definitely could be. It could be hypothyroidism. Yeah, but and that's on a biologically, wider level. I would work with you on your belief system about 10 no's. Why are 10 no's? Oh, people pleaser. Okay, so you like to please people. That means you're putting people above you a lot. That's indicative of, I was diagnosed with that in 2008. Oh, thyroid, Hashimoto's, gotcha. That could be it. I don't know if you're on any meds but hypothyroidism would, there's hyper and hypo. Hypo is obviously, you feel slow, sluggish, can't think straight. Hyper is, I'm always on the go, obviously. So yeah, I would look into that, but I would also encourage you to look into the people pleasing thing. What's going on with that? Why am I constantly in a state of needing to please people? So, that no energy. Yeah, that definitely sounds like hypothyroidism. But again, there's something going on there. Let's go back to what you said before. No, I put 30 names on a piece of paper, called 10. 10 said no. I would go back to that and figure out what is going on with what I'm expecting from other people when I'm calling them. And I don't know if you're trying to get money from them, meaning to invest, or if you're trying to sell them a product. Why don't need others? Why do I need others' validation so badly? Great question. That would be. Let's focus in on that for a second. Why do you, Bracy? Like, what does a person's validation? That's called external locus of control, meaning my sense of control is outside of me. I have a hard time talking to people, selling products. Well, it sounds like if you need their validation, them saying yes makes you a great salesperson. Them saying no makes you a crappy salesperson. That's external locus of control. Bracy needs to work on being able to internally validate herself as a salesperson that she feels comfortable being, not waiting for the sale to make you feel like a salesperson. Many salespeople, I used to be in sales and in my 20s, will tell you you have to close the sale before you get to the client, before you get to the deal. You have to close that sale in your mind. I remember a little on a show you did on that. Right, exactly. So what I would encourage you to think about, Bracy, is this. What is going on with people's validation? Where am I going to be as I get older if my validation is always outside of me? Where am I going to be if I am constantly in need? Like again, take what I do for a work, calling, whatever you call it, whatever you want to call it. If I need all my patients, all my clients in a day to tell me, "Oh man, doc, you're the best. You're just so wonderful. You've changed my life. I don't know where I'd be without you." If I needed people to tell me that, what's the problem with that? Obviously, right? My confidence as a mental health provider is in somebody else's hands. And you see that all over the internet. People are posting stuff and doing to get likes and approval and to get validated. That's external locus of control. Internal locus of control is I better have a pretty good system set up in my mind that I can internally validate myself. And no, it's not, oh, you're the best. These people are so lucky to have you. No, it's not that at all. I have a way of reinforcing myself in a way that it keeps me feeling more and more effective. And it's predominantly, not exclusively, because I also don't want to be exclusively internally locused either, because if I'm internally locused, hey, they don't like me, screw them, I'm the best. It's a balance. Okay. So, okay, Bracy, well, I would definitely, my closing advice to you would be, one, sit with, why do I need people's approval so much? Get into that thinking a little bit. Again, I know I sound like I'm pushing the field of psychotherapy, and I know I sound like I'm telling people that that's the main way you can heal, because it is. Okay, people, the best way to fix your teeth, or to fix your heart, or to fix your hemorrhoids, or whatever it may be, is to go to a licensed, trained individual who can help you with that. It's the exact same thing with mental health. If you want to get to the roots of a lot of this stuff, then you want to, where do you begin with that, Bracy? Here, you begin right here. Okay. You're not going to work with me, but you can go to betterhelp.com/Dr. Walker, get a discounted rate, and start working through that with somebody. And the first question can be, why do I need approval so much? Why do I need approval? Why do I constantly feared rejection? Why do I constantly am so afraid of disappointment? These are the things that people need to work on in order to get to it's like, let's say you were a racist your whole life, but you never even knew you were racist. You just think like that. But then somebody comes into your world and says, hey, you know what? I don't know if you thought about this, but that's probably why all this negative crap's happened to you, and why you're always fighting, and because you're right. How did you get that? What do you mean? How did I get that way? That's what, well, no. How did you become a race? Then you start thinking about it. Then you start working and realize that you were fed this lie about, I call it realizing your real lies, meaning you have to get into a realization mode of how you were conditioned to be afraid of failure, and how you were conditioned to need external validation to feel good about yourself. Okay. So people, thank you for joining me live. I appreciate it. Please remember my Help a Human Fund. You can donate right into that, and I use all those donations to help people. I'm on every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm going to try to be on again Thursday, depending on how my patient load is during the day. And I do appreciate everybody's messages, everybody's support, when I'm not on, and hey, where are you, dude? And, I thank you. I do appreciate that. So if you ever want to check me out, you can check me out on my website. But please, okay, please work on these issues that are holding you back. Okay. If disappointment, thank you. I appreciate that, Bracy. If disappointment is holding you back, you need to expose yourself to it in a therapeutic way to work on building up some tolerance to it. We do not need to suffer in silence. We do not need to just get into this idea that, oh, I'm broken, I'm never going to heal, I'm always going to be like this, there's no hope. You got to work on it, people. Emotional wounds can heal like physical wounds, but there's a protocol to them. And I encourage you to get off the pseudo motivational speakers on the internet and the books that were written by God knows who, with no training in the mental health field, and get exposed to the science of psychology, because there is a science. There are repeatable, verifiable results in this field. Anyone who tells you otherwise has no clue what they're talking about, because the field is beginning to coalesce into repeatable results. Cognitive behavioral psychology and other forms of therapy, of talking things out of you, not just up there, oh, wow, this is such a great motivational speaker. And now I feel so great. And then it extinguishes. And now I feel even worse than I did before. Work on it. Allow yourself to feel the negative thoughts and emotions in a therapeutic way. And I guarantee you, remember, the efficacy rate of psychology is and treatment, psychotherapy, is close to the efficacy of these COVID vaccines. It's not quite high in the 90s like that, but it's in the 70 to 60, 70 to 80% based on what study you read. Okay, don't give up, people. Don't give in to the idea that you have to stay broken. Don't give in to the idea that you have to never feel good about yourself. Okay, don't give in to that idea. You can feel better, but you got to work on it. All right. All right, people. I'll see you Thursday night. Have your questions and comments ready, and we will pick up then. All right. Have a good night. Take care.